Hello, hello, welcome back to the show. This is where I find some of the best and some of the worst tattoo artists out there, and I even try to help you guys avoid some of these hacks. And this week, I got a good tip about a hack artist out in Tennessee, and this was absolutely one of the best leads I've had in a really long time. Not only is it some rough-looking artwork, but this guy's also got some of the most brutal customer service skills that I've witnessed in a really long time. You guys are gonna love it. Sit back, relax, let's find some hacks. Alright, this is the guy, Jared Grant. Let's check it out. Some of these images that I saw that were posted by customers as reviews were a little bit troubling. The one thing, you guys have heard me harp about this before, he's got one of these traditional coil machines, that's what we call them, the really loud buzzing ones. I'm sure you guys are familiar, but it's not bagged up, it's not protected. That means that anytime any blood or ink or plasma splatters on that machine, there's just no way for him to clean it out properly. So this is just something that I've complained about before, but if this is something you come across and you see with any artist, this is sort of a red flag for sure. Moving on though, a bigger red flag was some of the reviews on his Facebook page. Now I'm going to give you this link, and please go check out some of these reviews, if not for just the comedic quality of them. Dragon's Lair Tattoo of TN. You can check him out. He did not have a website, I'm not sure, at least I looked everywhere, couldn't find one, but man, check out some of these reviews, because in his studio, the customer is never right. That doesn't exist, because anytime somebody posts a bad review, man, he claps back hard. And one of the clients actually posted some screenshots of a conversation between him, and you might want to pause it to read this, because it's just so funny. He just bashes on her so hard, but then at the end he's like, oh, but if you still want to get tattooed by me tomorrow, go ahead and call this number. It's just hilarious and weird at the same time, but there was a ton of reviews like that. If you want to check out his Instagram, I finally found it. It took me forever, but jrod.tattoos. Yeah, again, he didn't have a Facebook, or he didn't have a website, and his Facebook didn't say his Instagram, so I had to do a lot of searching just to find a picture of the guy. But anyway, go check him out if you like to. But let's start off with something that he did custom. Now, I think he was doing a cover-up. You can see there's some sort of black tribal or something here that he was covering up. So all this purple and pink is marker. He was drawing something custom on there. Let's see how it turned out. What? Weird green giant monster? What? What the heck? Did the customer really want this? Is this what they were asking for? I don't know, but man, the simplicity of it really just bums me out. This is so huge. And he just did this weird cartoony, I don't even know what this is, but... Oh, wait, no, I know who this is, you guys. Bam! That is Blanca from Street Fighter 2, right? That has got to be. Oh, in that case, that is an amazing Blanca from Street Fighter 2. Oh, that is impressive now that I see it. Oh, it took me a minute, but yeah. Let's move on to some of his pinup work. Ugh! What? Look at her eyes. Oh, this was... I'm not exaggerating this, you guys. I busted out laughing when I first saw this one. Just weird. What is she looking at? Where is she looking? That's just so strange. Not to mention so much blood in this image. Why? You guys have heard me harp about this before. I hate it when artists don't take the time to just wipe the blood away. Give it a minute to settle down, relax, and let the skin kind of calm down before you take a photo. But, and then I see major line errors in this rose in her hair. You can just see the lines just get really dodgy, really dotty. Just strange. Also, I mean, I really hate these folds. And I've seen this is a really kind of old school way of doing art, but you don't see it too much anymore because it just looks funny to have outlines on those folds. I mean, I know she's nipping out real hard there, but is she really pulling it that tight? No. And I think that's, again, just a lazy kind of quick way of doing art. And also, if you see the picture from the side, you can see how cheaply these wings are done. Just one tone of blue, just outline it in black, round feathers, no texture to the feathers, no frayed feathers, nothing, just squiggly outline and then just solid blue. And I saw this a lot in his portfolio where he would just use either a single tone or just have very little to no contrast in a lot of his images. Here is another pinup. Just funny looking. I have no idea what's going on over her head here, what this is supposed to be. Maybe it's supposed to be like something holding up the halo. I don't know, because I think he intentionally did all this squiggly lines around here. But why did he give her two black eyes? Man, who did this angel piss off? Jesus. All right, I'll move on. Here's some of his gray work. On occasion, he would try to do some realistic kind of stuff, and it's weird that he would mix it with this kind of American traditional simplistic looking roses and flowers. Again, no contrast in the flowers. There's no black shading, no dark shadows anywhere, no real light source. But the main thing that just really bums me out is this face here. This just does not look like a wolf. There's no contour on the cheekbones. All of the hair flows in the same direction as if it was combed or brushed. Just really kind of lazily etched it in using the edge of his shader. And I see that a lot, especially on people that weren't professionally trained. There's a few little tips and tricks that a professional artist could give this guy that would make that hair look kind of messy and frayed, but still real detailed and clear. But yeah, and the same thing with the nose. There's usually like a bumpy texture, a wet texture on the nose, but he just did it all in black and just dabbed a little bit of white on the nostrils. Just kind of, again, quick, kind of lazy stuff. Here's some more of the realism stuff. And at first, I was kind of impressed by this one. It's kind of a blurry photo, and it's a, poor quality photo, but I kind of zoomed in and checked it out, and it was like one of those things in a magazine where you're like, what's the difference between these two photos? And the main one is this dude is smiling, and this dude is frowning. I don't know if he did that on purpose. It almost seems intentional. It's so obvious. He's got a smirk, but he just doesn't. That's just weird to me. I'm not sure why the monkey has black hands. Like, did he just not want to do that? The texturing and detail in there, so he just, screw it, let's just make them black. Again, the belt, really disappointed in this. This is a really kind of cool rustic antique belt, and to me, if you're going to put it in there, you got to go 100% on it. That would have been a cool kind of flare detail that would have elevated this piece huge, but he just kind of put some dots around there and some really minimalist textures. Not to mention, this is a big no-no. Again, people, when artists are not trained, they don't emphasize this as much, but this guy is facing backwards. This person is facing to the right, the image is facing left. Now, when you're professionally trained, your mentor is going to pound it into your head. All tattoos should face forward or inward, never backwards. So, hate to see that. This one was actually a little bit better, and I was starting to think that there was hope. Maybe this was not somebody that I'd showcase on the show this week if he's got more work like this. But then when I really start to break it down, again, what's the difference between this photo and this photo? And if you really pay attention, you can see like the shadow in this kid's eye here. And then down here, no shadow coming off of his eye there. And there's just a lot of things like that. The contouring around his nose is not the same. Just is a little bit of a disappointment because he's trying things that he definitely was not trained in doing and is not experienced in doing. Another thing is it's very disappointing to see how squiggly this cursive comes out. You can even see he had a hard time filling it in. There's little white dots in there that aren't supposed to be there. They're supposed to be filled in black. And yeah, you can tell where he doubled and tripled over some of that line work to kind of smooth it out, but just real shaky overall. Here's some of his skull work. I'll show you a couple of his skulls, guys, but this was the funniest looking one to me here. Again, a lot of blood in the photo, glossy, nasty photo, but it's very weird to me that he made the teeth actually white with white ink. That's very strange. And then the eyeballs, again, don't look like they're looking in the same direction, but ultimately, I don't know, you guys tell me your opinion on this, but I absolutely hate skulls that have eyeballs in them. I don't know why, that's just fucking weird to me. Why do people do that? Explain to me what happened there. So, like, all of the skull's skin and everything else melted off, but the eyeballs are still intact? That's just weird. I never understood it, don't get it, but that aside, this is a weird, bumpy, lumpy, weird-looking skull. He just looks like he threw shading and texture in random places because maybe he didn't plan it out or know exactly where it should go, but there's no definitive light source in the whole thing. So, this particular one is a little angering to me. This is the simplest skull I've ever seen. No real teeth to speak of, no real outlining or texture, a weird crack down the center, but yeah, just a little squiggle. Just very, very disappointing. I'm not sure, and this is on a guy's throat too, man. Just, when you put stuff on people's necks or their hands, you gotta give it a little bit more effort than this. My God. But then on this one, he does a lot more texture, almost too much. Look how big this is on her thigh, and look how much of it is just this squiggly stuff. Just squiggly stuff. What is that? That's just such a simple effect. Took little to no time to do, but takes up so much space. And then on this sickle here, I'm hoping this was a cover-up, because why else would you do such a dark, heavy black sickle with no glare, no shine to it? Just disappointing all around. I saw a lot of his flowers. This is a very simple, small piece, but I saw a lot of hummingbirds and flowers that looked exactly the same. Just every petal was just shaded from the inside out. Every petal, no matter where it is on the flower. Again, just no light source, no planning. Here's another one. Just basic, no real texturing, no depth to any of these flowers, and on somebody's neck again. Why are you going to put this little kid's drawing of a hummingbird on her neck? You could do so much better. This was not that small where you had to do this weird squiggly... it's just disappointing to see. And again, with the flowers, very, very simple, obvious cover up here. This poor girl with this heavy, heavy black backdrop. I don't know exactly what he's covering up. You can tell some of it's still shining through the yellow that he put here. And he tried to use the white to overpower whatever he was covering up. But yeah, just simple, cartoony stuff. Again, you can see the cover up from the back and simple, just single tones of color. I feel like it's just laziness. I don't know if these people are getting their money's worth, but... this is the kind of thing where if you're looking at somebody's portfolio on your phone and it's a smaller image, you might see this and think it looks really good, you know? But as I'm constantly saying, you gotta zoom in. The second I zoom in, I see all these line errors where lines don't connect where they're supposed to, where some lines are significantly lighter and scratchier than others. Again, here they don't connect. It's just disappointing all around. Yeah, these ones don't connect at the point properly. This one doesn't come all the way to the point. And again, with these flowers, he just did this sort of vague coloring. There's no real depth or 3D look to it. There's no contrast. There's no light source. Simple, simple, simple work. And over and over again, I saw the same thing where he would do it with gray wash, where he'd fill up large areas of skin with just the simplest detail. Look at these easy little clouds. Anybody could have done that. Anybody. You don't need a tattoo artist to squiggle this gray scratchiness on you. Anybody could do that. But it takes up this whole person's arm. Why? Why would you need all this room to make little squiggles? Put something nice there. Texture the clouds, you know? Make it a little more realistic looking. And then here's another example of the same thing, but worse. Just weird squiggles. What is this? Is this supposed to be fire, smoke? This is all the same piece right here, just different parts of the arm. And you can see all this redness here, that's just beat up skin. The gray is so light, the gray that he used, that the redness of the irritated skin overpowers it. You know what that tells me? That when it heals, it's going to look very washed out, very, very faded. And I'm not sure why he did this. You can see he knows to use different contrast, darker layers of ink down here, but in so many of his pieces, I just saw this light squiggly stuff. What is it? Is it smoke? Is it flames? I don't know, but why would you take up some whole entirety of somebody's arm just with squiggles? I think that's the laziest way to go about it. Listen, Jared, there is so much wrong with your portfolio. I did see some pieces that I would call decent, and because of that, I'm not going to call you a hack. I don't think you're by far not the worst person that I've had on this show, but at the end of the day, man, you gotta modernize what you're doing. You gotta care more about your artwork, improve the equipment you're using, the pigments you're using. You gotta try to venture out with different needle sets. It looks like you use the same liner, the line weight on everything you do, and whenever you do bold lines, you just kind of do double or triple over it with the thinner liner that you're using. Use actually different line weights, different shader depths. Like, there's no reason that you've been doing it this long in your career, but you haven't evolved at all. So that's my advice to you. Try to modernize, get together with some other artists, see what they're doing, get online, see what other artists are recommending, but please, God, do not keep doing what you're doing, because as of right now, I cannot recommend anyone goes to you. But I'll digress. The rest of you, put it in the comments below what you think of his artwork, what you think he could do to improve. But moving on, I found an artist that blew my mind out in Tennessee. So for all you folks living out there, stick around. You're going to want to see this guy. Hey guys, before I show this next artist, I want to remind everybody that you can definitely help expose a hack. If you know of one that's in your city, just send us a message to the email that's down below. Send their name, the studio, whatever you got, and we'll gladly put them in the show. But don't worry, all submissions are going to be confidential, so have no fear. We're not going to put you on blast for doing a good deed. That's it. Now let's get back to the artwork. Alright, next up, Jason Beavers. Here you guys go. Incredible artist. He is one of the co-owners at Cafe Inc. in Cleveland, Tennessee. That's right, Tennessee also has a Cleveland, not in Ohio, Tennessee. Check him out though. This is one of these studios what I would refer to it as a very upscale, high-end studio. They got 5 out of 5 on Facebook. Very hard to do. People love to complain about tattoo shops. Keeping that 5-star rating is really difficult. Not that ratings really matter. Don't want you guys to check out ratings when you're looking for artists. It's the wrong way to go. But look at this studio. They spent some serious time, energy, and money making this an amazing experience for anybody coming in. And they've also hired an incredible crew. I didn't find any artist that I would complain about at all there. I'd have to nitpick pretty hard. But if you want to check out his work, you can check him out on Instagram, Tattoo Beav. I love that name, man. Tattoo Beav. All right. here we go. Let's check it out. Now, first off, I want to start with some flowers because I complained a lot about Jared's flowers, and for good reason. And so this is an amazing, not only a palette cleanser, but also amazing contrast to what he had. You can see the contrast. That was my main thing when I was complaining about Jared's. There's just no contrast. He used a lot of just single tones or maybe two tones, but just not enough dark work in there to give you that 3D effect. But this is beautiful. Look how large this is. He didn't just, do some squiggly shit in the background to fill in a large area. Like, he intentionally planned this whole thing out. Very beautiful work. I love this kind of no-line technique stuff. It's really, really beautiful. Looks painted on. Here's the same kind of floral design, but it's a totally different style of art. And this is sort of more of a neo-traditional style of art, but he really added a lot of really cool tricks in here. And one of them I want to talk about is bringing these leaves to a point here. Now, I complained a lot about Jared missing and not connecting lines, and a lot of his leaves didn't connect to the flowers. And so why wouldn't I complain about this? Well, because this is intentional. He brought this to a point on purpose. He left the skin break on purpose. He did it equally on all the leaves, and it just creates this kind of cool effect for our eyes so that we can tell that these leaves are definitely in the background. Now, of course, we know they are, but that's just a little trick of the trade to show that they're definitely in the background. And it's a great tell that he knows what he's doing as an artist. He's studied different styles of art, and he's versatile in that way. I also loved that I saw a lot of color lining in his portfolio. This is something a lot of artists just don't bother to do enough because it's much easier to just outline something in black and then, color inside the lines and you're good. But to color line, it's a little bit more difficult. It requires some forethought, some planning, and I love to see that in his portfolio. It says a lot about him and his artwork. I did complain and harp on Jared because of his sunflowers, and so I had to show a sunflower. Now, this is not the most amazing piece in his portfolio, but to me it is, in Jason's portfolio, that is. But he didn't just shade every petal from the inside out. You see, the shading changes depending on where it is in the light source, and also there's a texture to each petal. Sunflower petals have folds to them. They have dimension to them, and you absolutely see it here. You can see that he didn't just do a straight-on view. That's the obvious, easy way to do a sunflower, is just a straight-on view. But he didn't just create this circle of darkness in the middle with like some speckling and call it good. You can see the clear depth. You can see that that's 3D in there, and I love seeing that. I also love to see that he didn't do any outline on the leaves that are in the background. It also, again, creates that foreground-background effect. Once again, just shows he really knows what he's doing as an artist. Just if you were curious and you weren't sure if he could do gray wash, here it is. Just a beautiful gray work piece. I think he did a little bit of opaque gray coloring in the backdrop, but this is definitely gray wash in the foreground. This is a great example of how the whole piece is dynamic and it sticks with the same light source throughout. And I think it's easy for some artists to just post a bunch of different flowers together and call it good, but they're all sometimes colored differently with different light sources, and they forget you gotta look at the piece as a whole. And he did a great job here with different flowers, but they all have the same light source and they all look in the same manner. And really, really shows he knows what he's doing. Here's a good example of a different type, like he was not going for realism here, and that's what I like. He was going for this really sort of artistic, stylized way of doing it, a graphic way of doing it. He did really great with the white work. You can tell that white's going to stay, and it's important. That white is very important where he put it, but his application technique was just impeccable throughout all of his artwork, and it just shows. But I just thought this was a really unique way of doing it. He has a lot of other things that are the same kind of graphic style in his portfolio. I love how these come out. It's a really unique way of doing it. But my favorite of all of his stuff was his color work, because look at this. This just looks like a decal, a sticker. Look how clean that line work is. Look how smooth these fades are in all of the stuff. Just super smooth. All of it. Just unbelievably clean work. Undeniably clean work. This is the kind of artist where it doesn't matter how long you have to wait to get in. It doesn't matter what they charge. Don't even bother asking. Just know that you're gonna get some incredible artwork. And I know there's, different variations of artists out there, from really shitty to really good. And some people out there, they want shitty work, or they want the quick, cheap stuff, get it now, today. And I understand that. And so, there's something for everybody out there. But for those of you that are looking and you're having a hard time finding an artist, that's what my show's for, to show you artists like this do exist. And don't be quick to just jump in with any artist. If you have the time and the money and you're serious about a quality piece, find an artist like Jason. Little Buffy the Vampire tribute here. I love it. Again with the color lining, again with the very smooth shading, but on this one, this super bold outline here. This is not easy to do. This is time consuming, takes extra time, and it's difficult to draw two lines so evenly parallel next to each other, and then to fill it in. You have to do all that without damaging the skin too much, without shredding it up. And you can see her skin is not beat up, it's not gushing blood. So he knows how to do that very, very well. And he's got a really smooth technique with his line work. Oh my goodness, look at this. Look at that water reflection effect. Again, something that just shows he's absolutely a true artist at heart. He has a passion for it. You can tell by looking through his portfolio. Again, guys, I would encourage you, just go check out his Instagram, check out his Facebook. And for that matter, all the guys down there at Cafe Ink. It really was impressive stuff all around. Had to show this ET. This one was from a little while back, a couple years back, I think. But still, just loved it. Had to show it. Here's a little something for you Iron Maiden fans. Gotta love it. Again, smooth, smooth. And this one, man, how smooth and clean does that look? Just unbelievable. You gotta love this, the white accents, the shine on his outfit there, the tiny little white shine on the dagger blade there, and then right here on the edge of the letters really adds that nice 3D effect to it. You can just tell he takes his time. He's not trying to just get you in, get you out, make some money. He really has a passion for what he does, and he rises to the occasion on a daily basis. Had to show this one before I end it. I love this. It's rare that artists know how to blend gray with color, and this is a great example of how you got to use that color where you want their eye to be drawn to, and all these flame colors were perfect. And this actually isn't gray wash here, this is opaque gray. And for those of you that don't know what I mean when I say that, gray wash is when we dilute black ink to create a black fade. The color gray is when you mix black with white, and that's what we refer to as opaque gray. And there's a definite difference. Opaque gray is much more time consuming, but has a much more of a pop to it, has much more of a longevity to it as well. So yeah, it just goes to show he's a disciplined artist that's going to take his time and knock it out of the park every single time. Jason, it was a pleasure looking at your work, man. I think you're killing it. You guys got an amazing studio down there. I'm very happy to showcase you on the show, although I'm sure you don't need the clout, you don't need the extra clients, I'm sure, but you are definitely approved. Thanks for what you're doing, man. Keep it up. Alright, you guys, that's it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you get notified. We put out new episodes every week. We go to different cities every week, and we might be coming to your city soon. So, stick around. We'll be back next week. And in the meantime, if you're hunting for an artist, don't forget to zoom in. Alright, we'll see you next week. Bye.